What a way to get it started. The Blue Streaks, a double overtime winner yesterday. That is just a preview of what we're going to talk about today in high school football. I'm Billy Beebe. Thank you for joining us on the Saturday morning huddle. With me, as always, Kenny Rhoda. Kenny, good morning. Week 3 did not disappoint.
No, it did not. A good week for Stark County teams. Some big victories, some exciting games like that Lake win in double overtime, 17-14 on Dutton's field goal. So the Blue Streaks start the season with a tough loss against Alliance. They bounce back, win 2 in a row. Alliance starts 2-0. They blow a big lead. We've got a lot to get to in this edition of the Saturday Morning Huddle.
All right, let's start with our guest list. If everybody's wondering, as you kind of stay tuned in with us, we'll have AJ Sarbaugh, Fairless getting their first win yesterday. Another coach getting their first win yesterday. For Northwest, Coach John DeMarco will be with us. Coach Slates from Perry, not their first win, but a big one. I think that one might have counted for 2. And then Coach DeGeorge, as we just showed, a double overtime win for the Lake Blue Streaks, Kenny. So a packed guest list, and I know a couple of these coaches will have players with them too. So we have a full show to kind of go through. And yeah, as you're looking below, you can always see the scores ticking down on the bottom there. So if you missed a score, go ahead and take a look. And again, subscribe with us on Facebook. We're live on Facebook and YouTube every single week with highlights, scores, coaches, interviews, and all that on the Huddle. We'll get to Coach DeMarco coming up in about 10 minutes here, Kenny, but talk to us a little bit about your game.
Yeah, we had Northwest and Louisville, and it was what we thought it would be, a hard-fought, close game by 2 evenly matched teams. And Northwest comes away with the 26-14 victory last night. Connor Satterfield was a man amongst boys as he rushed for over 100 yards, 2 touchdowns, 15 tackles, 3 sacks, just was an impact. And was our Old Carolina Barbecue player of the game, and deservedly so. I thought he should have been player of the week, but we do that by, ballot every Friday night. And guys, and we'll tell you who that is a little bit later on. But he was a difference maker in that game. And a couple of sophomores contributed to that first win for Northwest. We're going to see the highlights a little bit later on. We're going to hear from Connor Satterfield as well as Coach DeMarco, one of his offensive linemen.
Well, what's interesting before we get to Coach Sarbaugh here in just a second, how many times do we talk about two-way players? And our player of the week was a two-way player. And I think, Kenny, that's equal on both sides, right? He did it both ways. He didn't just contribute both ways. He was equally a great defensive player and offensively, it seems like.
He dominated on both sides of the ball. He was the most physical player on the field, and we'll talk to Coach DeMarco about it. Well, I'll let him explain to our viewers out there how important he is to Northwest football this year as they improve to 1-2 and get their first win.
All right, speaking of first wins, let's shoot to our first guest of the show today, Coach AJ Sarbaugh with quarterback Carson Colucci. Guys, good morning. How are we feeling after win number 1?
Feels good.
Feel pretty good.
Coach, you have any voice left or no?
A little bit. Yeah, it's there.
Barely, right? So take us through the first 2 weeks. You go 0-2, right? You need this one to get off the schneid. What was the key to the preparation and practice to get this first victory yesterday?
We talked about, first of all, we wanted to be great teammates this week. That was our first goal. Our second goal was to win the turnover battle. You guys were at Sandy Valley. We had some turnovers at inopportune times. And then that last week against Tusky Valley, we had 5 turnovers. We really thought special teams were going to be important last night, and we won special teams, which it carried out the entire night. There were a ton of special teams plays that were huge. Then we said we had to block and tackle better. And I think we did a really good job in all of those facets last night.
Carson, amongst the players, what do you feel like changed for you guys this week?
We really just came together. After last week, we just kind of had a talk in the locker room, just like we gotta be better. We gotta come together. I didn't have my best game last week, and not a lot of us did. But we said we have to pick each other up. We have to be better teammates. Things aren't always going to go right. We're a young team, but we gotta pick each other up and give each other confidence to keep rolling.
Carson, how does Coach handle you as the quarterback in a situation like that? You admitted, hey, I didn't play up to my standards, what I'm used to playing for my teammates in that. And we always hear athletes talk about, I want constructive criticism. I want hard coaching to make me better. How does coach do that for you?
So Saturday morning we watched film. He told me everything I needed to hear. And we kind of I wouldn't say we forgot about it, but we just kind of moved on. There's no need to talk about it. I knew what I did wrong. He knew what I did wrong. We were kind of just on the same page there, and came in Monday and we just focused on clay line. We weren't really worried about what happened last week or the week before. We were just trying to get the first win.
Coach, did you kind of notice in practice this week that the tides had turned for you?
Not really, to be honest, because I thought last week for Tusky Valley, we had a really good week of practice also. The difference this week was our Friday preparation in terms of walkthrough, getting on the bus, pregame meetings was much better this Friday than last Friday. We told him, Tom McDaniels always said, you can have a great week of practice, but a poor day mentally on Friday. And we thought that's what we had last week against Tusky Valley, that we had 4 really good days. And Friday, we weren't mature enough to handle game day. And we saw a complete difference in our kids last night, walk through, getting on the bus, meetings, because everything matters. So we took that next step last night as a young football team, learning to figure things out.
Coach, how are some of the players handling bigger roles this year, right? Last 2 years, you win 9 games, you get a playoff win, you lose some key players on your football team. And Carson's been around, so he's used to it, but other kids have had to step up and play bigger roles. How are they handling that now as you look back over the first 3 weeks?
I think they're getting better each week. Just talking to some other coaches, like you can scrimmage, you can play 7-on-7, but until you're under that lights that first time against Sandy Valley, you really don't know what you have. And then you go on the road, and we had 5 turnovers last week. So then there's just shock. Like you just don't expect that, but that's what happened. And I think our kids are just getting better each week. Andy Gill's playing both ways. Cam Carl's playing both ways. Alan Harrison's playing both ways. Colin Sullivan's stepping up. Hunter Lancer is a senior who's waited his turn, who's leading the team in tackles. He's never started until this year. So a lot of those guys are starting to fill into their roles, and they're becoming more confident. And obviously, when you have success and you win, they're going to be more confident. But they're learning on the run, and I think we're getting better each week.
All right, Coach, we want to congratulate you here at WHBC. Your 32nd win last night for Fairless, the most for the school. So congratulations to you. I know you want to take the humble route. I know you well, so I know you're going to go that way. But congratulations to you, and I know the team means a lot to you, but quite an accomplishment for you.
Yeah, I'm really just happy for our kids. They got their first win. That's what matters. When you don't win the first one, it drags on. You've been working for it since June. So I'm really happy for them, but I've had a lot of great players. The coaching staff's been the same for 4 years, and a great administration, great booster club. A lot of people. I've never scored a point. I've never tackled anybody for Fairless. So a lot of people go into this, but I'm very fortunate. We came back last night, and my assistant coaches and admin had it set up. The whole band was playing. They had a huge banner. There's way too many pieces of confetti in the parking lot right now that our custodians won't be happy with on Monday, but we had 200, 300 people there last night when we got back. It was something that I will remember forever. And I really appreciate the people in Fairless, and our kids were excited, but it's about the kids, and they're the ones that played. So I'm just really happy for them at the end of the day.
Carson, what's it mean to you as the quarterback and leader of this team, and to all the players to help get Coach that 32nd victory and become the all-time wins leader there at Fairless?
We knew we just had to get 1 win. So obviously whenever Sandy Valley things didn't go right in Tusky Valley, we were just like, kind of in the back of our head, we were like, all right, we got to, he was talking this week, you got to find somebody to play for. If you can't find somebody to play for, then, you got something wrong. But, in the back of my head, I'm thinking about 2 guys, him to just get him up there in Fairless history. And then one of my teammates, Hunter Henry, senior, just got out for the season. So that one hurt, and we were just find people to play for. Coach Sarbaugh, he means the world of this program. I mean, he does everything that he can to put us in this position to win at the end of the day. And he does so much behind the scenes. It's insane.
Coach, I know you thanked a lot of people, but what's it like hearing that from one of your players, knowing there's an impact on them?
I think that's the epitome of high school football. That's why you coach. We don't make a lot of money. Obviously, that's not why we do this. But when you hear that from a player, or I had texts from past players or past players' parents were there last night that their kids don't play anymore and they come up. That's what it's all about. I think that's why you coach and that's why you teach. You might not win every week, but we're teaching life lessons and you're trying to build young boys into men and making a difference in their life. And I think that's, like I said, it's not about me, but last night, all those people that were there, it just shows at the end of the day that we're doing the right things here at Fairless and we're coaching our kids the right way and they're going out and being successful in life. And that's what matters, that we have a relationship with them. And Carson's going to graduate, but I know Carson will still come around just like our past players. And that's what it boils down to at the end of the day. We've created a culture, that's the popular word, but a home where past players come back and they feel like they're a part of the program for life. Just because you graduate doesn't mean you're gone. You're still a part of Fairless football. And that's something I'm really proud of.
Last thing for me, guys, and for both of you guys, I'm guessing after this morning it's on to the next game on the road at Triway. Coach, well, I'm guessing you've already started studying for that one. And Carson, what's the mindset going into next week?
It's just kind of like a reset, non-conference games, they're important, but they're really just there to get you ready for pack play. And we just got to go in, keep the train rolling after the first win and just keep the confidence up, keep everybody's morale up, and, go into Triway, which is not an easy place to play, and get the first win in the league.
Coach, for you, getting back to 500, another goal and building that momentum going into the pack?
Yeah. With 8 teams in the league, we told them this morning when they got done with film, next Saturday at this time, 4 teams are going to be 1-0 and 4 teams are going to be 0-1. So you're either going to be in the upper half or the lower half. We need to have another really good week of practice and then go on the road. Obviously the goal is to get to 2-2, 1-0 in the league. And then we come home after 3 road games with Northwest and Coach DeMarco, and he's got my brother coaching for him. And
big win for them last night, Coach.
Yes,
we did their game.
The
did you hear?
Starbaughs all won last night.
I know.
So it was a good night for the Starbaughs. And then our baby girl comes the day before Northwest. We got the C-section scheduled. So the next 2 weeks are going to be busy, but we're really excited to go to Triway, start league play, and hopefully keep this thing rolling.
Great stuff, Coach. We're wishing you luck this season. Seems like you're going to be very, very busy in the coming weeks. So we're wishing you luck, and it's been fun seeing you guys get that first win. And again, congratulations from all of us at WHBC.
Thanks, guys, and thanks for having us on. We really appreciate it. What you guys are doing is awesome.
And Carson, I don't know what you're thinking about doing after high school and for the future, but you've got a great voice. So take that into consideration. An area of media might be something you want to look into.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
How about that, man? Wins his 32nd game as the head coach. And the missus. Yeah, we got the C-section scheduled. We'll get that in right after the Northwest game, and we'll be good to go. Hey, life of a football coach, right?
Yeah. Can't be too picky about it. And I guess when it's time, it's time. And congrats to Coach. I know this is somebody that we talked to a lot. Kenny, I got to talk to him before the season and go through practice with them. And again, just the way he talks about, both the young players and his older guys that are leading this team, it's always great to hear. So, and it's always amazing to hear from coaches that have taught Coach Sarbaugh, guys he's worked with, kind of giving him a little bit of a blessing. So, that's how he's doing well in the community.
And the Sarbaugh name, it's like the who's the actor? Kevin Bacon, right? The 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. Well, the 6 degrees of the Sarbaugh family with coaching throughout Stark County. They're sprinkled everywhere, including at Northwest. And let's bring up our next guest, Billy, because last night Northwest goes on the road. Coach John DeMarco joining us, and they get their first win of the season, a big win. We did it on WHBC Radio, Mix 94.1, 26-14 over Louisville. Coach, congratulations on the first win of the season last night. What was the key as you look back on it from watching film, I'm guessing, this morning?
Well, as we talked about last night, our first 2 weeks, we just had huge momentum making plays go against us right at the end of the half. And we didn't respond in the second half. And I felt we had a huge momentum swinging play in our favor last night right before half. We scored with the second left, and we carried that momentum into the second half then, and were able to hold off Louisville. So it was nice to get that first win last night.
Coach, you have plenty of experience over the years. What has always been your philosophy when you get off to a tough start like 0-2 to kind of get things back on track?
Well, we talked about that a little bit today with our kids. It's just you got to believe in what we're doing and just keep plugging away, believe in the process and keep working at it. And, I said it's a lot like this in life. A lot of times you're doing a lot of work and you don't get to see a lot of success right away. It takes a while. We talked about starting in right after Labor Day with our first camp and going all the way till last night before we got our first win. We said sometimes that's what it's like in life. You have to plug away without seeing much success, and then success might come a little bit later down the road.
Coach, Connor Satterfield, huge game last night, 113 yards, 2 touchdowns. We had him for 15 tackles, 3 sacks. He impacted the game on both sides of the ball, and I talked to him after the game, and he seemed like he could have played 4 more quarters. How important is he to the win last night and your success the rest of this season?
Well, obviously he was huge last night, but he's huge all the way around. He definitely anchors our defense. He's right in the middle of our defense, and he's our key guy in there. He's a returning starter at Mike linebacker for us. And last year he played some H running back for us, and he's moved back in the backfield and gets to carry the ball a little bit more this year. But I think our offensive line and his running was able to wear down Louisville a little bit last night. And so he's huge on that side of the ball also. He's done a great job for us all 3 weeks. And again, we only hear about it because we're able to win last night.
Coach, we break down two-way players a lot on this show. We hear from coaches about two-way players. How often do you see someone like Connor that can do it on both sides at such a high level? Sometimes it's a quarterback that's great at quarterback and they, help out at corner. But, it seems like Connor benefits a lot at both positions.
Well, he does. And it's definitely a hard double, but I've probably been in this game too long, but we run into a few of those guys. I ran into a guy last night that played for me probably 20 years ago that I can remember in the sleet and snow coming down week 10. He rushed 47 times and had 17 tackles on the other side. So there are some guys who come up with those types of effort, but it is still kind of amazing when you see something like that.
You gave him the ball 47 times, Coach?
Yes, 47 times. Well, it was sleeting and it was not good footwork. Not only did we give him 47 times, we ran between the hash and the sideline because the middle of the field was torn up, so there wasn't much access there. I would like to give a little plug to that was Curtis Elsass back in 2002, and he was a great player, and his son is playing for Louisville now, and I got to see Curtis after the game, and he's just a great guy, and it was a thrill to see him.
That's great. That's a great story, Coach. We appreciate that very much. I want to ask you one other question, Billy. I'm going to jump in here. Tyler Pappas, you and I talked after the game, sophomore quarterback. You told me before the game that you were going to go with both guys, and you did. You elected to play both guys, and he made some plays for you yesterday. For me, looking at it, not as a coach, but as a media member for a sophomore, I thought were big plays for you. What did you see last night where you said, we're going to stick with him the entire second half?
Well, I don't necessarily know if it was particularly with him. We just seemed to have a little bit of momentum, and I wanted to ride that momentum.
Okay.
You seem to have the hot hand going there, and we're just moving the ball a little bit better. And, a lot of it was we might have worn him down a little bit. But whatever the reason, I felt like we had some momentum going, and I wanted to stay with that momentum. I didn't want to change anything up.
And we just saw right there the pass play right before halftime. Coach, did you think you had a second left on the clock because that the opposing game clock operator was kind to you. And somebody asked me on the sideline, since you coached there before, they said, is that a relative of his that's working the score clock up there?
No, I have no relatives left back there. I don't know who it was. I really think it was one of the officials on the field that made the call. I tell you what, though, it was, I thought, an awful quick 8 seconds. I know there was 8 seconds on the clock, and I didn't think we took that long. I was a little shocked that we didn't have another play. We had a timeout, and our receivers were instructed if they cut the ball in the middle, we thought we had a chance to get the ball in the middle of the field. If they hit the turf, that they were supposed to immediately call a timeout because we thought we had a chance for 2 plays there.
Billy, you got something for Coach?
No, I mentioned to see you guys break down this final play here.
Okay. All right. Let's look, roll the film here, Billy, and Coach, take us through this touchdown that put you ahead 20-14 here in the second half.
Well, we were third and about 9, and we run a little 10-yard out, a little comeback route into the sidelines quite a bit. And I thought maybe we could get them on a come back and go there. I thought they might have been protecting the sticks a little bit. And Tyler made a nice throw in the end zone, give a receiver a chance, but I thought a receiver made a nice move and really made a nice catch on the ball. Tristan Pennington, he's only a sophomore, does a nice job of going to get the ball. Just has a knack for finding the ball when it's in space. So,
Coach, sophomore to sophomore. I mean, that speaks well to the future there on offense. If these two guys are going to make a big play in a big road game like that, right?
That's fine and dandy, but we're all about Friday night. We don't care if they're sophomore, junior, senior. We expect them to produce when they're out on the field.
Definitely. And Coach, you talked a little bit about momentum. Did you feel that on the sideline? Did you feel that for the guys or just the play on the field?
From the guys, and especially our defense. I think our defense got off to a slow start there, but they had a lot of momentum going for them. And we got a couple of sacks in the second half. And I think they were really carrying the momentum for us because they were getting excited and out on the field and having a lot of fun. And I think that excitement, carried through from our crowd and the sidelines and everything. There was just a lot of excitement there when, we haven't been ahead in the game yet this year. And we got ahead and we got an opportunity there to win. And the guys really capitalized on that.
Coach, do you have a player with you here this morning?
We do. We got
right.
our center here. One of our seniors kind of anchors our offensive line, Joey Prexta, one of our more intelligent football players, 4.0 student, even though he snapped it on 1 when everybody else was going on 2 last night. He is still one of our most intelligent guys that we got, and he's here with us right now.
All right, let's bring Joey in. Joey, thanks for joining us this morning here on the Saturday Morning Huddle. Congratulations on the win yesterday. What does it mean to you and the entire team to get that first win out of the way now, and you can just focus on the rest of the season?
It means a lot. It really showed us what we can do, the talents we have, and what we could do as a team. So it was a good start to what I think is going to be a really good season.
Yeah, Joey, looking at I know we'll have to wait a second while these plays kind of break down, but I kind of noticed once you guys get in the end zone here, I believe it's you or another member of the O-line with a couple of words after the play's done. Were things getting pretty chippy on the line between you guys and Louisville?
Sometimes there's been a history with them, a lot of cheap shots throughout the years, but I think we handled it well. We really got the people away that were doing it, and at the end of the game, started getting less and less, and it's something we have to work on as a team and individually, but we just got to keep it up.
All right, as the center of that offense, okay, Joey, we always talk to offensive linemen about this, and 9 times out of 10, we get this answer. Yeah, it's nice to throw the football, but we want to run the football and take their will away from them and pound it and win the game that way. Are you of that belief? You're shaking your head. So you are of that belief as well?
I am, yeah. There's nothing better than third and 2, and you just got to push it in right up the gut there, and it's great feeling looking back on film, seeing it come right into your gap.
Coach mentioned the momentum change, kind of said he felt it within the players on the sideline. Did you feel the same thing?
100%. Yeah. Cause the past 2 weeks, like he said, we had the 2 big changes and you could feel the just energy and momentum just go away from us. But I feel this week, I mean, we were all hyped up in the locker room. It was completely different than it was. And I think we just got to keep that up.
All right, so I got to ask you, since Coach brought it up, you snap it on 1 when it was supposed to be on 2. What goes through a center's? I got to ask, since I wasn't going to bring it up, but your coach brought it up, so I'll get it from you. What goes through your mind when that happens? We can talk about it in a fun way after a victory.
Yeah, just honestly, going back home, my dad and brother, they're big football guys, and going back home, just kind of like hearing them yell at me that whole night and making fun of me. It's that's kind of the first thing that went. But then the second thing was like, oh crap, we still have time on the clock, and I put us back a little bit. So I definitely, it was definitely a shock that I did that. It's usually not like me, but you know, we came back from that next play. Connor got a big rushing yards that got us a first down and kind of solidified the game there.
Hey, everybody makes mistakes, kid. You're fine. You got the win last night, over 100 yards rushing for Connor, and a big road win at Louisville, too. And I know that means a lot to you and the kids because you wanted to get it for Coach as well, right?
Oh, yes. All the coaches, too, especially the ones, the alumni. They play there. They were their rivals back in the day, and especially for Coach DeMarco. After the game, he was one of the people we did it for, 100%.
Congratulations on the win and continued success this year, all right?
Thank you.
Coach, thanks for joining us this morning. Great stuff. Good luck the rest of the way. We'll see you again.
Thanks, Kenny. We appreciate you having us on your program, and we appreciate seeing you any Friday night, and we're always open.
Yeah, and we'll see you a little bit later in the season. And I was talking with some of the guys from the Booster Club last night. They're telling us that we're going to have another feast to chow down on when we come to your place. So we look forward to the football and the feast when we come to Northwest.
Well, we always try to treat people the right way.
Yes, you do, Coach. Congratulations on the win. Good luck.
Thank you, Kenny.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
How about that? We got to ask a center what it feels like to snap the ball on the wrong count. That's going to be shared on social media, I hope, Billy. You do a great job with the snippets and everything like that. And you know what? We're going to bring in the Perry head coach, and he used to play offensive line. So maybe we can ask Zach Slates not only about their win last night, but also if he ever jumped off sides on the wrong count, if he ever went early and what that. Coach, did you ever do that in your playing career?
Never.
Yeah.
Never did I jump off sides.
We got to check the sources on that, I think.
Well, he played so long ago, there wasn't Huddle or any film like that, so there's no way to prove it, right, Coach?
That's right, VHS.
Coach, congrats on the win last night. You and I talked a little bit after the game. Obviously, a big smile on your face. First things first, though, 42 points on the board. Your offense has another 40-point game. Talk to us about what they've done this season.
Yeah, I mean, our kids have stepped up, and there's been some guys that have had to change positions. We had a sophomore have to come in and play tailback after Carson got hurt, and those guys are just filling in the roles and doing a good job. We got a first-year player at our fullback too, so it's been good to see them fight it out, and they got challenged this week a little bit, and they stepped up and did what they were supposed to do on last night.
Coach, when you rack up, a huge lead and there's a running clock, how do you keep the kids focused and the intensity the same?
Yeah, I mean, it's anytime you get a lead like that, I mean, it doesn't happen that often, but when you do, it's good, and the kids are excited about it. And when you're scoring points and so forth, it helps them out.
It's a good problem to have, right? If it's a running clock, that means you're doing a lot of things right, correct?
Yeah.
All right, Coach, let's break down a little bit of film here. Now, I already showed this touchdown here. Just a great run. Obviously, gets you guys going early. Now, something I noticed, not only did I notice, I heard it on this play right here, is this block. How key – wrong one. How key are blocks like this on touchdown runs?
Yeah. That's real important. And he was one of the kids that got challenged this week about his blocking capabilities, and he's not just there to run the ball. And as you can see, he sprung that touchdown to start the game off, and he stepped up to the challenges, and we were on him this week hard, and he accepted it and did a good job. So yeah, I mean, everybody blocks on our offense, so there's nobody that's no receiver, no running back, nobody's not there to block somebody. So even our quarterback, he gets in there sometimes.
And let's go to your quarterback, because I'm looking at the stats, Coach. You hit the century mark last night throwing the football. Congratulations, Austin Maddox, 4 of 7, 102 yards, 62-yarder, a 41-yard touchdown pass last week in that close loss to St. Vincent St. Mary. You told us you were going to throw the ball more. How is the development of the passing game coming?
Yeah, it's coming. And those guys, the receivers and quarterback, they were challenged this week because we dropped some key balls last week against St. Vincent St. Mary's that could have changed the course of that game. And they came in this week and we challenged them, and they did a good job in practice this week and had more confidence in them throwing, and they had more confidence in themselves throwing and catching the ball. So we were able to throw some of those. Threw a long one last night that got 65 yards. So that was a big one. And he threw a really good ball on the sideline to Kyson Walker for a first down. So it was good to see him completing some of those balls that we have to complete to be able to be successful.
Your 2 wins this season, Coach, couldn't help but notice both times you guys have won a game, you've had pick sixes in them. Do you think those 2 things are related, or how important is it to kind of have defense scoring touchdowns too?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you can score on special teams or on defense, like that's huge in a game, and when you have mistakes too, it costs you the game. Like last week, we had a fumbled punt return, and we gave up a score off of it. So when you do anything like that, like last year, I told everybody last year, like we probably shouldn't have won the McKinley game because we gave up 2 punt returns for touchdowns, and that's going to be in the back of our minds this week too. And we have a different punter. He's a good punter. He's definitely a threat, kicking off, punting, field goals, all that. So all those little things are important in what we do, and you got to capitalize on those opportunities.
You get the win last night over Euclid, 42-6. You're 2-1. Your opponent next week is 2-1. They're coming to your place. The PTO will be rocking on Friday night. It's the WHBC Altman Hospital radio game of the week. How do you like where you're at, Coach, after 3 games, seeing your team go 2-1 heading into the first Federal League game next week?
Yeah, I'm happy with our progress, and you typically make a lot of strides in the preseason with the shortened preseason and the young players that we have. I mean, it was good to see them continuing to make strides this week and doing their job and getting done what we need to get done last night. So just continue to improve, and hopefully we'll get some of these guys back in the next couple of weeks that have been injured. So I'm happy with our progress right now.
As you should be, Coach. I know you had a big smile on your face last night, and hopefully that carries forward for you. Congratulations on the 2 wins so far, and we're, again, looking forward to doing your game next week.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, Coach, I want to see 200 yards passing next week against McKinley. Give us something to really scream about in the press box and on the sidelines. But good for them, man. Wondering how Perry would be. 2-1 start. You got to like that, the momentum going into your first Federal League game. And you heard him talk about last year's result against McKinley. So it's going to be a fun Friday night in the PTO.
Right. You kind of think about the Perry offense first, right? When they win, the wing team must have been working and this and that. But, I mean, you're looking at plays like this. Kenny, we saw something similar in week 1. They get these pick sixes. These momentum-shifting plays are so important for them. This was early in the game. This made it 21-0 for Perry. So, and that offense – most of the time, if they've got 21-0, there's a good chance they can run out the rest of the game.
Well, because they're such a ball control offense, yeah, Billy, they get a lead like that, it's to their advantage and to the disadvantage of their opponents. So, they want to play from in front, not from behind. Although Austin Maddox, again, 7 passes, not a lot, but still 4 of 7, 102 yards. That's good to see. And it's definitely something that they need to continue to build on if they're going to do any damage in the Federal League this year. They're going to have to throw the ball because everybody knows what they do, and nobody knows you better than your league opponents, right? So they're going to stack the line, and yes, there's misdirection, and they do a good job of running that offense, but push comes to shove in the bigger games, you're going to have to be able to throw the football somewhat.
Yeah, and you definitely get a vibe that they're advancing, right? Getting better. Coach Slates talked about that blocking. Possibly that's not something, this block right here, not something that happens last week or the week before. It seems like it's something they had to kind of preach and make sure it got through to those guys that everybody's got to block, everybody's got to make a play. And talked about it last night on the sideline. When you think of the wing T, you think all these guys moving, you think of different guys getting the ball. You even may say that these guys, people say they're decoys, you're handing off to one guy, he's going left, he's going right, he didn't get the ball. They're not there just to sell it after they didn't get the ball. And I think this is a great example of, in the wing T, in the Perry offense, if you don't get the ball, fine, but there's something to do after you sold that fake.
Yeah, absolutely. And they do it very well, and they'll continue to fine tune it as they begin Federal League play next week. But before I forget, Billy, I want to give a shout out from our game last night at Louisville. Terry Horn, the athletic director, in her 7th year there at Louisville. She's the only female athletic director in Stark County. She does an unbelievable job. The welcome mat was there for us yesterday. Everything we needed in setting up, tearing down. The food, by the way, before the game, during the game, and at halftime, even after the game, some chips for the ride home back to Medina for me. Pogies food truck came in, and they brought the pulled pork sandwiches with the barbecue sauce that was absolutely delicious. And I think part of the job of working in their press box at Louisville is you have to be able to bake cookies, because we had about 10 different kinds of cookies yesterday, or brownies or something that all of us, Denny Kincaid, Mark Miller, Dan Belford, yours truly, we were devouring yesterday, and it was absolutely delicious. And so I'm going to do my WHBC Press Box Food Fight Challenge update right now, Billy. All right. So 3 weeks in the books. We've been to 4 schools. Here's how it stands right now after these 4 games we've done. Coming in at number 4 with the pepperoni roll, that would be Lake. Got some work to do next time we get out there. Number 3, last week, normal hot dog and water at Massillon from, David Goff and that. He says best hot dogs in Stark County, no doubt. And one of the boosters brought us homemade ham sandwiches fresh off the bone out of the oven last week. Massillon in at number 3. Last night, Pogies. Oh, the pulled pork. I say it again. Absolutely delicious. And I'm a big barbecue pulled pork kind of a guy. You know that. Old Carolina Barbecue Player of the Week. We hand those out. Louisville in at number 2 in the Press Box Food Fight Challenge. Fairless still clinging to the number 1 spot for that feast they put out on the Thursday night opener for our 79th season. So AJ Sarbaugh gets his 32nd win last night to become the all-time winningest coach at Fairless, and they remain number 1 in our Food Fight Challenge to this point. And I brought that up last night as I was walking the sidelines at Northwest, and they just chuckled. They said, just wait till week 10. We're taking notes on what everybody's doing all season long with your Food Fight Challenge. We are the champs, and we will defend our title. So they're confident and cocky that they will outfeast everybody come, I think it's week 10, Friday night, we're doing their game.
Gotta love it. And while we're on the food subject, I'll shout out is it the 317 kitchen? I know you know it.
3737 kitchen at Perry. We're going there this week. I'm looking forward to what they'll have for us this week.
It was like a pulled chicken on a brioche bun with barbecue sauce. Their homemade cookies. I can't remember the name. They have a name for the cookies. And, it was hot in the booth yesterday. It was solid on the field, but when we were up in the booth, it was hot. Ice cold Coke they gave us, just perfect. Billy Beebe, a big Coke guy. So that was perfect to have. And like I said, the food from them was tremendous. Everybody's taking care of us. We appreciate that when we come out there. So, good to see your rankings are getting some competition, though.
They are.
Just be like 1A, 1, and then, all the way down, more like CD. But it looks like everybody's starting to hang up towards the top.
Well, Northwest has set the bar high in the WHBC Press Box Food Fight Challenge, and everybody is coming for Northwest. And we'll see what the 37-37 Kitchen in the PTO does for us next week when they host McKinley.
Absolutely. And let's shoot to our next guest here. Kenny, coming off a huge win. Everyone got to see that highlight to start the show today, a double overtime game-winning field goal for the Lake Blue Streaks. And from the Lake Blue Streaks, head coach Dan DeGeorge joins us now. Coach, good morning. How are you? All right. May have an audio issue.
That's a possibility. It's a live show. We run into technical issues on occasion here, but we'll get it figured out and be able to talk with Coach and the player that he's brought with him here about their huge win, 17-14 in double overtime last night over Brecksville. And it was Kelton Dutton's 23-yard field goal for the walk-off winner at Blue Streak Stadium. Coach, can you hear us, or are we still having technical issues? You can hear us. We can't hear you. So we'll see if we can get your microphone fixed there and get you rolling here. But a huge win for them, Billy, because think about it. They start 0-1, right? And a tough loss, a game they should have won. They'll tell you that against Alliance. And they've bounced back with consecutive victories and putting guys in different roles because we find out, hey, Nate Baker's going to be the feature running back. And Nate Baker delivered yesterday in a big way with 180 yards combined catching and running with the touchdown. Defensively, they're doing a great job. And then on special teams, doing a nice job with Kelton Dutton with the game-winning field goal. And Noah Kabaski comes in, plays some quarterback now, rotating the quarterbacks with Cale Jarvis. And so they're starting to round into shape. And look at that. Nate Baker, our WHBC Sports Player of the Week for his role in that big win last night, Billy.
Right, and this is a team with, I don't want to say a transition. It's more of a slight transition, right? They just had to find different pieces and parts and where they were going to be. It's a reload, right? Not a rebuild. So Nate Baker, one of the prime examples of, hey, we got to make the most of the talent we have. We've had guys move on. We've had things change. Let's come up with new ways to use the guys that we know are talented. And I think Nate Baker is a great example, Kenny, because he's catching some passes last year. He's getting a couple runs a game and some here or there stops on defense. But now you really feel like he had 3 key tackles. Bill Morgan, I was talking with him this morning, key tackles late in the game. And then, of course, you can see how much he's getting the ball now, 34 rushes. I'm not sure anybody I've watched at Lake in the past couple of years has gotten 34 rushes.
Yeah, the yards per carry, not great, but the fact that he toted the football 34 times playing both ways, obviously a big factor for them. And that's what they want to try and do. They want to try and grind it out, control the ball, control the clock. And we've seen 12-7, I think was the opening loss to Alliance, right, Billy? And then last night, a 17-14 game. We knew their defense was going to be one of the best defenses in the entire, in the county this year. We knew that. And, they're still trying to find themselves offensively. And a win is a win is a win is a win. And you'll take that at 17-14 against a very good Brecksville team at home in double overtime.
All right, let's give another try here.
There we go.
Coach,
how are you, Coach?
Doing well. Can you hear us now?
There we go.
Oh, yeah, outstanding. Congratulations on win number 2 in double overtime last night at home, Coach. Just give us your thoughts about how that game was unfolding and what enabled you guys to tie it, get it to double overtime, and then get the win.
Yeah, very good game to watch as a fan last night, right? Very exciting. Our defense played extremely well most of the night. We gave up some opportunities to put the game away earlier, but give Brecksville credit. They fought and played hard the whole game. Our kids just kept fighting. So it wasn't the prettiest game for us, but their effort was awesome. There was a lot of times in the third and fourth quarter and even in overtime where they could have packed it in and quit, and they never did that. So we found a way to win, which is great, but we still got a lot of work to do for sure.
Nate, great game by you. Congrats on snagging our player of the week. We'll talk about that in just a second. Let's get to the big stuff here, guys. Nate, walk us through what you're doing on this final kick.
I'm currently turned completely around, looking up towards the sky, and I'm just kind of waiting for my friends' reactions here. And then I just start getting the crowd hype because, it's a very surreal moment for me.
34 carries. How you feeling this morning, Nate?
I wish I could say I'm feeling phenomenal, but I'm a little bruised up. But that's how it's gonna be.
Coach, as a former running back, you've been in a situation like that. So do you go into the game thinking you're going to give it to him 34 times, or does it just develop that way? And as a former running back, you're okay doing that, I guess, right?
Yeah, no, Nate's doing a really good job. We moved him to tailback full time a week ago. Very athletic kid. Also plays defense for us, returns kicks, just a special football player. And due to some injuries, we had to move him there full time, and he was all for it. And he's getting better each week. And if I could have given it to him 54 times, I would have to get the win, and he would have been fine with that. So, no, it's a tough spot to play, but Nate made some really good plays for us last night.
And Nate, what's it like shifting from that offense to a defense that already has such a strong reputation, but plenty of opportunity to help?
Yeah. I'm sorry. Could you repeat that again?
Yeah. What's it like shifting to a defense that you guys already know is so good, but when you go over and help them out, what's it like fitting in with those guys?
From my sophomore year, I kind of really started to excel in not only the offense, but in the defensive kind of play style. I just love playing defense. I love flying around. So it's kind of easier for me to hop in because I've been playing it my whole life. So it's kind of just like a second nature.
Coach, we talked earlier in the show today here on the Huddle about the tough week 1 loss. How have your guys been able to bounce back from that? What did you learn? And it's obviously working with the results the last 2 weeks, correct?
Yeah, it's slowly working. I think we're slowly starting to figure it out. Bottom line is, and again, no offense to Alliance, they're a very good team, but we gave a football game away. And as a head coach, that's the last thing you want to do. And so some of that, falls on us as a coaching staff. It falls on our kids as well. And learning from it and not repeating the same mistakes is the goal. Knowing that anything can happen on Friday nights if you don't come well prepared and ready to go. We're constantly talking about no regrets. Hopefully we learned our lesson from that, and we're moving forward and finding ways to get better each week.
All right, Nate, we love breaking down film on this show. We like getting to hear from the players as to what's going on. Walk us through this play right here where you snag a touchdown.
Yeah, we had opposite called. So the whole game we knew that they would kind of like line up and play to our strong side naturally. And we had the choice after we ran it a few times to kind of pull the opposite out and kind of worked for us because they were so heavy on the left side, and it was kind of just like an easy walk in on the right side.
Coach, this play, it's out of the Wildcat. Is this something you're saving for a particular spot on the field or time in the game?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times if it's short yardage or we get down in the red zone, just snapping the ball directly to Nate with 2 fullbacks and the tailback in there gives us a chance in the box. And Nate's athletic enough to throw it around a little bit as well. And it worked for us. We tried that similar approach on the 4th down play in the 4th quarter and didn't work. But we got some room to improve there, but that was a big play last night.
Are we going to see a 3 quarterback system possibly here soon, Coach?
We're just trying to win football games, man. That's all we're doing. Whatever we got to do. We put him back there last night, and I think everyone in the stadium knew we were running the football, which we were. And sometimes that's okay. If your guys up front do your job, and if you're snapping it to a pretty good guy, you got a chance.
What about the play of Noah Kabaski? He scores a touchdown for you last night. You're using him at quarterback as well with Kale and Nate there. So what has he done since the preseason in game 1 to earn playing time for you and the belief of you, Coach?
Yeah, Noah's a really good football player. He's got some height to him. He's got a really good arm, can throw the deep ball well. Kale's battling some injuries, man, and he's toughing through it. Last night, he lost the contact. It got stuck in his eye. He couldn't go back into the game. He couldn't even see the scoreboard.
Wow.
So Noah stepped up and played the whole game for us. Noah's a good high school quarterback. He's very smart, very heady. He was a big help for us last night. He's going to continue to play some as well. Like I said, we're just trying to win football games. And
Coach, another guy that has helped you guys out a ton. I know he was on our all-county team. you've got a heck of a kicker there. I mean, there's no doubt in a play like this, right?
Yeah, Kelton did a great job in this situation. He's a great punter for us as well. He's been doing a solid job kicking. We had a chance to win it, and at the end of the game with 50 seconds left, we were down in the red zone. I chose to go for it. We did not get it. We got stuffed. I immediately went to Kelton and told him, hey, man, that's my fault. You're going to win this game at some point tonight. And he believed that and drilled it. So I'm happy for him.
Coach, how about we give a little love to snapper and holder, because the kick doesn't happen without that, as well as the protection up front.
Absolutely. Yeah. Sponseller and Keith are our two guys there. That's a huge part of it. And then with the rest of the offensive line doing their job, because they were definitely coming to block it. So it takes 11 guys for sure.
And Nate, I want to jump in real quick, Billy. 34 carries. What's the most you've ever carried the foot? Is that an all-time high for you, an all-time record, 34 carries?
Yeah, I played a little bit of running back, or not a little bit, but a lot in like 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And I don't know if I quite had 34, and I just love getting the rock, so I can't complain. I can't complain about getting the ball, so it's kind of something I live by.
We'll probably break that record in the upcoming weeks as well.
We're taking it. We're getting to 54.
We'll wait for the snow, right? We'll wait for the snow.
There you go. Right.
And then, Coach, we've seen you be animated before, hopping up and down on the sideline. Where are you at in this this pile that forms after this kick is made?
I'm actually at midfield, standing by myself. It was just such a back and forth game, emotionally, a double overtime, a lot of chances, some injuries, a lot of emotion going on, and yeah, I was very excited and just happy our kids kept fighting, and it was just very proud of them. I'm too old to run around anymore. So I just stood at midfield, shook a couple and hugged a couple of my coaches. And then we got to our kids. So.
Nate, how special is it every time you win at home, and the post-game celebration, the victory bell, everything that you guys do there as part of the tradition of Lake football?
Yeah, it's growing up, I've watched Lake football my whole life. So it's almost kind of like an honor that has been bestowed upon me to kind of like carry on, what we've been doing for so long, honoring the bell, and just kind of like the atmosphere of getting win at home, and kind of just, bringing a little bit of pride to our township, I guess you could say. But, I just love it. I just love playing the game of football. I mean, I'm going to miss it, obviously. And home games are just such a surreal moment.
Well, I'll say this, Coach. Everybody you brought on the show has done a really great job. So you've had the kids ready to go, and congrats on the success so far. Hopefully we get to talk with you guys again, and many more Lake Blue Streak wins.
Absolutely. Appreciate you guys having us, and thanks for what you do.
Good luck in the Fed opener this week, Coach.
Thank you very much.
We'll see you guys later.
See ya. Thanks,
Nate.
Nate. Great job. Player of the week, Nate Baker, doing it on both sides of the ball. He and Connor Satterfield, those were the two we were debating on for player of the week, because they did it on both sides of the ball, contributed on offense, carrying the rock, and then stopping the rock on defense.
Well, you could kind of see there, Kenny. I guess I shouldn't have inferred he plays offense and defense. He plays both. He
plays defense and now offense. You heard him say he likes playing defense better.
He's always been a defensive guy, you talked about, and that's great. What a fun win, right? Yeah. You kind of score track all night, and then one game catches your eye, overtime, double overtime, tied. And then when it's done, you want to see how they win it. To do that, 1480 WHBC on Twitter. Derek Philo tweets out that game-winning video for us. So we appreciate Derek and Bill Morgan at the stream game last night. And then, again, it just shows it's a grind of a season, right? They're getting better every week, but I kind of got the vibe from Coach DeGeorge. They've got bigger plans. They feel like they can get much better and do more things and get past some injuries and some mistakes, and try and replicate what they did last season.
All right, you see the scroll on the bottom of the page. The scores are running there from last night. Billy, let's run down what some of the teams did, some of the players did. Our game, it is the Altman Hospital radio game of the week last night. Northwest goes on the road, beats Louisville at Louisville, 26-14. Connor Satterfield, 113 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns, 15 tackles, 3 sacks. Tyler Pappas, sophomore quarterback, with a nice night, 95 yards passing and a touchdown pass, and a key third down conversion on a pass late in that game. Also, a shout out to Cooper Rice in a losing effort for Louisville. Billy, how about this? 3 interceptions on defense for Cooper Rice last night for the Leopards. And I know, that doesn't happen that often. So wanted to give him a little bit of love there. Lake 17-14 over Brecksville, double overtime. Nate Baker, 180 total yards of offense and a touchdown. Kelton Dutton, 23-yard walk-off field goal for the winner. Noah Kabaski with a touchdown run there. They are now 2-1. And so a good win for them. And then your game last night, Billy, you saw it. Tell us who stood out for Perry. Was it Hartshorn who stood out the most?
Yeah, it was Hartshorn. I believe 3 touchdowns and 55 yards. But, I mean, let's say that game is closer, Kenny. He probably finishes with 150 yards,
right,
if they really need to keep using them. So another great game for Ryder Hartshorn.
42-6 over Euclid. Perry gets the win. McKinley goes on the road, Billy. Last year, we did the game against Dublin Kaufman on the radio, and McKinley lost at home 28-26. They go on the road, fall behind 14-0, and are able to rally back and win that game 24-14, and they did it without Nino Hill, who was suspended, disciplined, whatever, didn't play in the game last night, the running back.
Well, and let me say, Kenny, that's one of those games, shameless plug here, WHBCsports.com. It's great to have the app and score track constantly update because it's 7, like you said, 7-0, it's 14-0, man. Well, let's check back in, when my game's at halftime or when I have time to check again. Well, now I can, score track that whole game. So a great comeback for Coach Hall and the crew.
Yeah, Keaton Rohde, the quarterback for McKinley, threw for 255 and 2 touchdowns, 3 for 3 on extra points and a field goal. So a nice all-around game for him. And Keith Quincy had a big game on offense and defense, receiving, and with a pick 6 in the end zone. Or not a pick 6, I'm sorry, an interception in the end zone for McKinley. So McKinley improves to 2-1. And Jackson, how about the Polar Bears, baby? 34-0 over Stowe yesterday. Lucas Eckerman, 12 of 22, $193 throwing for 2 touchdowns, 44 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. So 237 total yards, 4 TDs. Billy, 0 interceptions through the first 3 weeks for the sophomore quarterback for the Polar Bears.
Yeah, we knew Eckerman's going to get better week by week. Coach Rohr talked about it. We've talked about it. However, got to give the flowers to the defense, right? Shutout.
Sure.
They seem like they had 2 weeks there where they kind of lapsed a little bit, gave up some major points, gave up late touchdowns in their first game. But, man, a shutout's got to feel good for a defense.
No question about that. Also, Kyle Benson, Anthony Fuline with TD catches. So congratulations to Jackson. Now 2-1.
Hear that a lot. That's going to be a weekly
I think so.
Benson touchdown catch.
He may lead. He and Pucci are going to battle it out, I think, for county leadership as far as touchdown passes go by the end of the season. So we'll keep an eye on the senior with Canton South and the sophomore with Jackson. And speaking of Pucci Snyder, how about their huge win last night on the road, 35-27 at Sandy Valley. So Canton South 3-0. Matt Dennison happy that they were undefeated with a chance to go 4-0. Brian Gamble, first loss of the season, a tough, hard-fought game. They lose 35-27. Pucci Snyder, let's see here, 248 yards passing, 106 rushing. He had a couple of touchdown passes. But Nick Petro, talk about a hell of an effort in a losing cause. Nick Petro, 264 yards passing and a touchdown, 237 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns. Billy, my Baldwin Wallace education tells me that's 501 yards of total offense and 3 TDs in a losing effort. So he could have, had we done their game, no doubt he would have been the player of the week for us, but we pick it from the 3 games that we do either on YouTube, the stream, or on radio. But hats off to Nick Petro and Sandy Valley. They're going to have a very good season as they went toe-to-toe with Canton South, but Pucci and the boys get the win.
Seemed like Petro mentally kind of locked into what that game would be, right?
Yep.
Hey, if we're going to beat Canton South, we probably have to score 45 or 50 points, and he gave it his best effort. For Sandy, though, I will say, Kenny, you need games like that. You need measuring stick games.
Sure.
Larger opponents, guys that are going to either beat you or push you to the limit. And I think for South, maybe they didn't think it would be that sort of game when the season started. 2 weeks in, they probably had to revamp themselves and say, okay, Sandy's very good this year. We got to keep up the momentum of our own team. And that was a possible game of the night. Everybody kind of had their eyes on that one. There was enough scoring there, but it really seemed like Canton South controlled it.
Fairless, as we talked with Coach Sarbaugh earlier, gets their first win of the year, 35-33 over Claymont. Carson Colucci threw for 114 and a touchdown, ran for 74 and 2 TDs, a $188 total offense, 3 touchdown passes, and of course, Coach Sarbaugh becomes the all-time wins leader there at Fairless, picking up his 32nd victory. Congratulations to Coach. Tuslaw, Billy, 40-6 over Riverview. Joey Meter, 157 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. Central Catholic off the schneid. They get their first win of the season. Jeff Lindesmith and the Crusaders, 35-6 over Richmond Heights. Dan Bourne, talk about potential candidate for player of the week. 2 TD receptions, 2 touchdown runs, a punt return for a touchdown. That's 5 touchdowns. That's at Baldwin Wallace Education paying off again. That's 5 touchdowns in 3 different ways.
Well, they're getting settled in too. They have a new quarterback, so they're kind of going through mistakes and figuring the offense out and whatnot. But that is a name we are not surprised to hear when Central wins.
East Canton, unfortunately, suffers their 3rd straight loss. They're 0-3. They lose to Southern 52-22. St. Thomas loses again, unfortunately. That's 19 in a row. Mineral Ridge beats them 42-6. Malvern 22-20 over Harrison Central. Green beats Talmadge. Green now 3-0, 41-14. Glen Oak takes it on the chin again, 2nd week in a row. They lose to Fitch 35-3. Avante Burt with 85 yards rushing, but no touchdowns in the game for Glen Oak in that one. And how about Hoover? Cincy Dawn, that was an open spot in the schedule. They found somebody to play, and they drubbed them 56-0. Hoover now 2-1, Billy. What do you make of Hoover's start? A good week 1 win, a bad week 2 loss, a huge week 3 win?
Yeah, it is tough to tell, right? Because that was a real revenge game yesterday. But, I mean, unfamiliar opponent. They got to travel. That's a Cincinnati team, Kenny. So they got to go 3 hours there. They're probably thinking about the 3 hours back, win or lose. And look, we knew it from day one. I said it in my training camp video. They're thinking about the Fed. The Fed's going to tell.
Okay.
These Federal League opponents will tell for Hoover. They'll, there's a couple teams we have questions about, and the Fed will tell, right? Perry has the same thing: a win, a loss, a win. Who are they? Hoover, same thing: a win, a loss, a win. I think the Fed's going to tell. Same for a team like Lake, who's sitting at 2-1. Let's see what happens when these teams all start clashing.
And that'll happen next week. I think 6 out of the 7 Fed League teams have games against each other. So we'll tell you about that coming up here in a little bit. Massillon, 3-0, best team in Stark County, 51-10 over Mansfield. So the TIG beat the TYG convincingly yesterday. And DeJuan Owens rushed for 130 yards and 2 touchdowns, added 67 more passing. Pringle had a touchdown, Slaughter with a touchdown, Peyton Mitchell over 100 yards rushing. So Nate Moore's squad off to a 3-0 start. Marlington, it was the Dukes. 3-0 after beating Manchester 42-13. Joe Cardinal, congratulations. First-year head coach. This is easy. We're 3-0, man. I got this thing figured out. Well, I don't know. You probably would not like to hear me say that, but hey, 1-9 last year, I believe, right? And 3-0 this year. Kudos to the Dukes for starting the way they have. Now let's see if they can carry it on when conference play gets underway.
Definitely love to see it. I told you before the show, I'm deep diving. I'm gonna find out what the best Marlington start in school history was, and see if they're close to it, matching it, looking at it. I'll get that done. So exciting for the Dukes. I love to see the impression every week. So
every time they win, baby.
Although I agree. I don't think Coach would think that's an impression of him, thinking everything's easy and whatnot. But we want that success for local teams, so we're happy to see it.
Minerva, unfortunately, a loser this week, 40-7. Edison beats them. That's 22 in a row. So close last week, leading late in the game and unable to get that victory. But hopefully it comes sometime this season to snap that losing streak. And the shocker of the night, Billy, shocker of the night yesterday, Alliance loses to Streetsboro 37-28. Alliance blew a 28-14 lead in the 4th quarter and lose their first game of the season as they were outscored. I believe it was a 23-0 run by Streetsboro to pull off the shocking upset over the Aviators 37-28. And Coach Goodman can't be happy with that, not finishing after dominating for about 3.5 quarters.
Well, that really kind of, my first thought is, can they run the ball? Can you run the clock out? Can you figure out how to just progressively get yards while killing clock? Possible that's an issue for them, right? That they're focused on a Division I quarterback that throws it, a lot of great receivers. Who's running the clock out for them?
Well, here's the problem. Zerbrug, you don't want to wear him out. He's their best running back, right, at quarterback. So you've got to find somebody to take the burden off him, Billy. And we'll see if that develops as the season rolls along. But that's a bad loss for them. But the football gods, right, if you're looking down on that one, they probably should have lost week 1 at Lake, and they probably should have won yesterday. So 2-1, okay, maybe that's right where they should be based on the way those 2 games played out. So, but that's all the scores from this week and who did what with some of the individual players and everything, Billy. So a good week number 3 in the books for most of the Stark County teams.
Yes, wanted to get a quick update here. I know we'll get to our games next week here in just a second, but our YouTube game is still moving along. So that Euclid Perry matchup, if you missed the game, go ahead and check it out on our YouTube. Subscribe. When you subscribe, it's going to update you when the game's happening, whether it's live or uploaded. It's going to tell you when the huddle's happening. It's going to tell you when we've uploaded things like we're doing Player of the Week videos now. So I'll break down Nate Baker's game. We'll talk a little bit about other videos. I did a interview with the Perry media and video production crew. So that's going to be up on our YouTube. So when you subscribe, this is the kind of content you're getting. Again, you want to see, I don't know, just the certain play of the Perry game, go ahead, jump in, fast forward, go right to it. Again, 1480 WHBC on YouTube. Go ahead and subscribe.
All right, let's
look
look at
where be live next week too.
That's right.
Very
Yeah, let's get to those. Start with your YouTube game. Tell everybody that'll be our first week 4 game that we talk about here today.
Yep. So we are live at 6:45. Myself, Frank Salona, Tom McDaniels will be with us again, and Bob Jeffries will be with us doing stats. So we'll be live from Louisville. It is Hoover at Louisville. So Louisville looking to get back on track. Hoover coming off a huge win. Best part, Kenny, it's too easy, man. It's live. You click on that link, you're in. It's free. Doesn't cost anything to subscribe. Next thing you know, you're watching high school football. I don't care, on your phone, on your laptop, on your TV, on your I don't know if people still have Blackberries. Make it work. I think it's a good idea. So we'll be live next week, 6:45 from Louisville. Hoover against Louisville.
WHBC YouTube Alt Care Game of the Week. Check it out.
Yes.
Our Altman Hospital Radio Game of the Week. We're in the Fed next week. We're in the PTO. Perry 2-1. McKinley 2-1. First Federal League game for both teams. You heard Coach Slates earlier on the show here today on the Huddle say, hey, last year special teams cost us that game against McKinley. So they've got that on their mind, and we're looking forward to the 37-37 kitchen, seeing what they're going to feed the Bells, myself, Mark Miller, and Denny Kincaid next week. And we'll update our Press Box Food Fight Challenge. So that's our radio game of the week, McKinley at Perry. And then our streaming game of the week next week, Billy, is Lake at Glen Oak, another Federal League game. And Glen Oak's got to get it turned around in a hurry, or they could be looking at 3 straight losses because Lake seems to be finding themselves.
Yeah, got to recapture that first win. I believe they had 40 points in their first win, 40-ish points. So, look, chalk it up to what it was. You played 2 very competitive, very good Ohio. We're talking about the whole state. Those 2 programs in Massillon and Fitch are good teams. So take that for what it was. I'm sure they learned a lot in those types of games. Take it and move forward. And, we'll throw that challenge out there. We want Scott Garcia on the show with us next week. So a win would do that. And again,
Dan DeGeorge has something to say about that. That's going to be a great X's and O's matchup between those 2 intense coaches, man. I love games like that. It's like Coach Kappas last night. I talked to him at halftime, and they knew they should have been up by more. Actually, it was tied 7-7. They should have had the lead, I should say. And he's an intense dude. So a lot of these coaches, man, game day comes and they're locked in, baby. And that's why we love covering it. And that's why I love being on the sidelines, getting a chance to talk to them in the heat of the moment.
Yeah, and I'm having a lot of fun. I'll say real quick before we wrap up. I'm having fun interviewing them after, right? Because you can almost see it, Kenny, that they finally take that deep breath. Zach Slates was smiling last night. Matt Dennison, I asked him how he felt after that game. I'm tired. I'm tired. He gave a big, I could use a nap after 90 total points last week between Canton South and Dover. So it's been great. And again, we appreciate all our guests today that came on, and wow, some great stories, little tidbits and insights, not only in the game, but to these guys and their careers and in their past. So Coach Sarbaugh, congratulations again to him. Coach DeMarco came on and gave us a great story about an alumni. Coach Slates has never committed a penalty, apparently.
Yeah, that's what, or so he says, right? Hey, why don't we do this real quick, Billy, because we almost forgot to run this, and I'm just cleaning up a little clerical error on my part. And we can run. We haven't run the Connor Satterfield interview that I did with him after the game, their big win over Louisville last night. And all Connor did was rush for 113 and 2 touchdowns, 15 tackles, 3 sacks, and a 26-14 win at Louisville. So let's hear from our Old Carolina Barbecue player of the game from last night. And joining us right now, Connor Satterfield, our player of the game in their big win for the Indians over Louisville, 26-14. And Connor, 113 yards rushing. Let's start there on the offensive side of the ball. The yards weren't easy to come by, but you were a battering ram tonight. What was the key to your success tonight?
We really just put our heads down and blocked. Our offensive line did a really great job just putting their heads down and really moving their defensive front. Just put your head down and hit a hole in our offensive line. I give it to them.
Coach told me the first 2 weeks right before halftime, you guys gave up momentum-changing plays. Today, you flipped the script and were able to change the momentum that way. How big was that touchdown right before the half?
That was huge. Our entire mindset this week was we need to keep our momentum rolling. If we're playing good but don't have momentum, it's not going to win a game. So us really doing it at the end of the game, enhanced our second half and really gave everyone a good kick at the end to win the game.
All right, let's take that momentum, though, into the locker room, but you still have to bring it in the second half. How were you guys able to sustain that level of play?
As a coaching staff, Louisville was a good team, and we realized that we were up in the game, and we were way more capable of winning this game. So we really got hype in the locker room. We executed even better than we did in the first half, and we just ended the game.
I don't know how many tackles you had, but I'm guessing it was double digits.
Yes, sir.
What was the key to your success defensively tonight with sacks and however many tackles you had?
I also owe a lot of credit to my defensive line. They opened a lot of opportunities. I have a great linebacker coach. We've been doing this since my third year start, and we've been really tight. We watch a lot of film together, but I really got to give it to my defensive line. Making good reads is one thing, but they allow me to make those tackles.
And how about the sophomore quarterback coming in and giving the offense a lift? Pappas with some great throws tonight.
Yes. Tyler Pappas really stepped up the game. Chase was struggling a little bit in the beginning half, and it means that much to our team to have another quarterback come in and make this momentum come. So Tyler did a great job, and he's very young, and he's going to develop, and he's going to be a great quarterback.
This is Coach DeMarco's old stomping grounds. How big of a win for you guys to get it for him here
Very
tonight?
big. Our motivation this week was to get this win for him and only him. So it means a lot to us, and it means a lot for him, I guess. So it's really important for us and him.
Hey, congratulations on a great game, your first win. Good luck the rest of this season.
Thank you.
Hell of an effort by Connor Satterfield and Northwest. He impacted the game in so many ways last night, carrying the ball or tackling the ball or pressuring the ball. And he was a big reason they got their first win of the season.
Definitely. And shout out, I give a little good job there to coach, but the kids, teenagers coming on the show, talking to media, they do such a good job, Kenny. I mean, what an interview for Satterfield there. We had our player of the game on, talking, everything that went on with them. I mean, what great.
How about Joey Prexta having to answer a question about snapping the ball on the wrong count as the starting center for Northwest, and coach called him out like that, and he just rolled with it, man. It was kind of fun.
Unfazed. Yep. So appreciate the guys coming on along with all the coaches, and another great week in high school football. Never disappoints. These Saturdays when we wake up, it's never, it was kind of a laggy week. Every single week, we're looking at great games all around, wins or losses for a lot of teams. But I think today we really got to celebrate some great wins in the community.
Yeah, I'm going to go celebrate now. I need a cold one and get ready for that Ohio State-Indiana kickoff. By the way, you can listen to that one on WHBC Radio today, 2 o'clock pregame, 3:30 kickoff, the Buckeyes and the Hoosiers to open up the college football season. We'll have high school football on Friday nights, college football on Saturday with the Buckeyes, and the Browns start up on the 10th of September against Cincinnati. We are your home for football, folks, whether it's high school, college, or the pros, whatever your high school team is, the Buckeyes and the Browns, we've got you covered on WHBC and our various platforms that you can watch or listen to everything on.
Appreciate everybody tuning in. We'll see you next week in the Huddle.